Hi, I'm Isabella, one of the co-founders of CamelAI. Let's jump into a user interview with Jennifer Ryan, the CEO and founder of Croux. She's connected her BigQuery data warehouse to CamelAI to use it as an internal AI data analyst.
I am Jennifer Ryan, the CEO and one of the co-founders of Croux. We are transforming how communities work. A couple of hospitality veterans and I got together because we thought there was a better way to help connect the people who wanted to work with the work that needed to get done in communities across the heartland. And that's what we're doing today, leveraging AI to bring those two worlds together in a really seamless experience, helping working class Americans earn more while helping local businesses level up and run fast. And we know those local communities are really important to the fabric of our broader economy, and that's where we're focused today.
So tell me a little bit about what specific pain point led you to seek a solution like CamelAI.
Well, if you are sitting in my co-founder's shoes, who is our technical brain power, he was constantly being bothered by me for better insights for someone who couldn't code and could not access the data that I wanted to in order to make thoughtful, strategic decisions. I tend to like to have at least some information when I go and make an important decision, and that information was really hard to get. We had it, but it was hard to access. And so I asked him to please find a better way to empower me to go find that myself so that he could get back to his day job of building really cool technology. And that was the beginning of our quest that ultimately arrived us at CamelAI.
So tell me a little bit about your usage. What types of questions do you typically ask CamelAI? And are there any insights now accessible through Camel that were not before?
Yes. So let me paint a picture of the left-hand nav bar in Camel. It is wide-ranging from questions around usage. So I'm a marketplace, so I've got two different types of users that have two different types of behavioral characteristics. They are completely different ICPs, but I need to love on both of them. So I need to understand them deeply and getting better information about how they act, how they perform, what they like, what they don't. I had all of those independent data points, but being able to synthesize that into something readable, something actionable, was something I didn't have at my fingertips before. But let me give you a really very specific example that is happening in real time. We are acutely focused, as most other founders, particularly if you're a marketplace founder, on CAC. I want to make sure that I am expanding my reach and connecting with broad communities of people that are my ICPs, while obviously keeping my costs down. And I want to do this by rapidly experimenting to understand what's sticking. So when I think about the talent side of my marketplace, the workers, the people that are going in to pick up shifts at our local businesses, those individuals not only vary within the broader community, but we're also in lots of different markets, and they all have slightly different personalities. So I need to not only understand them at a company level to see how our performance is and also how our spend is, but I also need to drill down to a market level. What CamelAI unlocked for me this very week was exactly where on the onboarding curve I needed to be focusing my time. So I had a misperceived idea that I was getting hung up on bringing my talent in at the top of the funnel. And so we consistently were performing marketing exercises and experiments that were seeking to bring more people top of funnel. But the problem wasn't that. The problem was at a very specific point on the curve after they take several actions, but before they take the most important action I want them to take. And I wasn't able to see that and understand that that was a problem across the company, but that it also varied slightly at the market level until I unlocked that with Camel. And so this very month, all of my resources and spend and focus and experimentation is focused on improving that one part of the curve, because that actually unlocks the most value for me.
So next is a little bit about comparative value. How does CamelAI compare to previous solutions or other things you've tried in the past?
So I am becoming more technical. As my technical co-founder reminds me, it's not that I'm not something, I'm not that something yet. I'm becoming more technical, but I do not have a background in the I don't have the technical prowess that he does. And so before Camel, it was me pestering the person who had the prowess and expertise to go find the information. What that ultimately meant and resulted in was derailed time and effort and energy to do that for me, to get me an answer when he should be doing things that are moving the needle for the company. And it was essentially elongating the timelines for him to get things done because he had to stop and start and stop and start. I also would resort to, and I'm not proud to say this, but instead of bothering him, I put it aside. And what I really needed to do was have that information to make more thoughtful, but also faster decisions. Speed is so important in what all of us are doing. And so we are all pretty comfortable with making speedy decisions with incomplete information, but it's really hard to make speedy decisions with no information. So sometimes I just have to put off those decisions. And what that does is actually, it can have massive impacts on the business. It can preclude you from optimizing revenue. It can, prolong a problem. And so those are downstream impacts from me either bothering him, derailing what we were supposed to be doing, or not asking the question at all for not wanting to bother him, but then not being able to do what I needed to do as a leader and set the strategic direction, tell resources and time and capital where it needed to be spent. And that disallows my team from being, running at optimal speed. We didn't use any other tools because no other tools really could plug into our AI native experience and also run at the speed that we wanted it to. And everything else felt pretty clunky. There are legacy products out there that theoretically sit on top of your data set and give you insights. It wasn't in the format that we wanted to work. It required massive implementation. It wasn't streamlined. It wasn't in plain English. And to be truthful, we've all been trained with much more of an OpenAI conversational experience. And that's what we found in CamelAI. It was just seamless with what we were already doing. So if that was your intention, you nailed it.